I'm Janine Birtwistle, and I'm the Specialist Advisor Team Lead for the Humanitarian Service Team for Great Britain and Ireland. And all youth programmes, all youth opportunities, with the exception of Rotary Youth Exchange, falls within the remit of the Humanitarian Service Team. We're here this evening to talk specifically about Rotary Developing Future Leaders. The session is being recorded. It will be made available on the Rotary Great Britain and Ireland YouTube channel in due course. Karen Evely, who's a member of the Humanitarian Service Team, and I'll introduce you to her in a moment, will be making notes, and we will also be circulating ideas, suggestions, concerns, questions, anything else afterwards as a follow-up. If you are on your home alone, could you please put into chat in a private message to Karen Evely, your contact number for somebody and your address, please, so that if we see something dreadful happening to you, we could try and help. Has anybody got any questions before we make a start? If you could keep yourself muted, if you have got questions, because there will be an opportunity to ask questions, share your ideas, etc. later on. In the meantime, can you keep yourself muted? And I would like to start by introducing you to three people. I call them the Magic Three, and they are the people that have created, nurtured, made a huge success of the Rotary Developing Future Leaders programs. There's two of them. There's the Communication and Teamwork program, which is a level 1 equivalent, and the Leadership and Management program, which is a level 2. They will be giving you a little bit of an overview about it. They are approved by the Institute of Leadership, which is amazing, and we have got a video from the Institute. Unfortunately, the person that was going to be able to join us hasn't been able to do so, but he has sent a video, and I know that he's extremely keen and very supportive of these programs. Before we start, I would just like, if I am capable of pressing the right button, which I wasn't last time I tried, so let's try it now. I'm going to launch a little poll. Is anybody actually seeing that? Yes. One question, 3 possible answers. We'd just like to get an idea of what prior knowledge or involvement you've had with either of these programs. So if you could just select whichever is the most appropriate option, that will give us a good starting point. 2 main points for this evening that we're looking to do is give a little bit of an overview about what these programs are and how you could incorporate them into the programs that you offer in your local areas. And secondly, how do we develop these programs? How do we actually make it sustainable? The Magic Three are limited in how much time and energy and passion and commitment that they can give on an ongoing basis to this. And we really do need to be finding other people to be part of the team, and you'll hear more about that in a moment. So I'm going to end the poll now. So it's a pretty even split, actually. 38% with no prior knowledge, 27% actively involved, and 35% minimal knowledge. So a good mix there. So what I'd like to do, please, first of all, is I would like to introduce Mike Ware, the first of the Magic Three. So Mike, over to you.
Hello, everyone.
Please.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Janine. Yes, so I've got the short straw, so I'm talking first. And I just want to say a few words about the Level 1 programme, which, funnily enough, precedes the Level 2 programme. We started off with Level 2, and in taking that forward across Rotary, we discovered that there was a need for something that sat below it and was perhaps an introduction to what level 2 was about, although in fact the level 1 program can be used as a standalone qualification in its own right. Level 1 focuses on collaborative activity, so it encourages the young people to work together. It develops teamwork, it develops communication. It's all hinged around them running a project of some description, and it's about how they work together to enable that project to come to fruition. Alongside that are some hours of guided learning, which gives them the theory behind what a team player is, what a team leader is, and how to communicate in groups, etc. And the assessment is simply a presentation to the assessors of their project. And the assessor's job is to follow a scripted crib sheet, if you like, of key behaviours that we're looking to see, so that the student can be marked in terms of their ability to deliver clear teamwork and communication with their team members. And alongside that, there is a separate inspection of individual students' project books to see how they have recorded what they've learned. And that simply is level 1. I would just add that, as well as running on its own, it has become a standalone and is particularly popular for schools that have special education needs students, where it has found to be very popular. That's enough from me, I think.
Thank you very much, Mike. So, a little bit there about level 1. As Karen has put into the chat box, the chat is open throughout. Please put your questions in there if you don't want to forget them before we open up, so that you can actually ask them yourselves in the meeting itself. Before we move to Sue for level 2, I just want to say what Mike has said in relation to the special needs. Now, this isn't just about special needs, but the amount of feedback that I have heard in an invite-only focus group we had back in January, and in communications that I've had since, it really is an amazing offering for special needs students. It gives them the opportunity to have something to work towards. They get recognition even if they don't successfully complete it, but if they do successfully complete it, it's an amazing result for them and for their families and their futures. So, can you just tell us, please, a little bit more about level 2?
I can indeed, Janine, certainly. Level 2, and actually I believe level 1, you're looking at an age range of 14 plus. This is the Institute's recommendation that all their courses go for age 14 plus. So that's Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5. The resources for the course are all provided for you. You will get a tutor book, a student book, and a delivery plan. There is the same amount of guided learning hours for Key Stage 2 as there is for Key Stage 1. So again, it's 14 guided learning hours, but we certainly would expect the youngsters to be involved in doing things within their groups out of those guided learning hours. But all the resources are there with the guided learning hours set out like a delivery plan. It provides a curriculum, and the curriculum is what has been agreed by the Institute, so that gives you the information that you need to follow. The focus again is on leadership, management, things like different personality types, how groups can work together. It also includes the things of effective communication as they do within level 1. But the curriculum is there within all the resources, so it's there for you to follow. The students need to keep folders that are a record of all the work, the practical and theory work that they have covered. And these folders are required to be submitted on the assessment day as part of their assessment. The other important thing is that they work in teams of 4 or 5 or 6. That's the recommended numbers. And the important thing is within that team, each of the students has their own specific role. So that part of their planning is to decide who's going to do what. Certainly, if I was involved in it, I would not be involved in anything that included drawing or trying to make anything recognizable, because that is certainly not down to me. So you look at choosing the right people, hopefully, for their skills and their interests. So they go through, they plan their event, they can look at choices, come to decisions. All of that is part of their planning, and therefore they make a project that is a viable representation of what they've done. The only other ruling is that they can't make a personal profit out of their project. If they make things and sell them, then the Institute's belief is that that money should then be donated to a charity or something like that. So it's different from some of the other young enterprise projects because they're not expected to make personal gain. They have an assessment at the end, which includes a presentation, which should reflect the group's journey from start to finish. If the group have problems, that's not a difficulty. That doesn't decrease the level of marks available to them as long as they dealt with the projects and the problems. That's the important bit. So they do their assessment, which is a presentation. They also have some individual questions that they answer that reflect the theory side of the program. And they have 3 different levels that they can achieve. They can achieve a pass, a merit, or a distinction. Or again, if they have any particular problems, then they do get a participation certificate. And that's basically, I think, level 2, although I'm quite happy to take any questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. And certainly from an art and creative side of it, Sue, I'm on board with you. Definitely don't ever ask me to draw anything or create anything. Absolutely useless. But it's about the young people playing to their skills, developing their skills and their knowledge at both level 1 and level 2. And, you know, that assessment isn't a scary thing, is it? Anyway, no. We'll come back to that in a moment. So that was number 2 of the Magic 3. And I'd now like to introduce Tim Cowling, who makes up the 3rd of our Magic 3, as I keep referring to them, because I just think what they have created is magical. Thank you, Tim. Over to you. You're muted, Tim.
Is that okay? Have you got me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. Just obeying orders. Doesn't happen often. Right. So Sue and Mike have given you quite a bit of comprehensive picture on the 2 programs. My job is to summarize some of the main points and to pick up any points that maybe didn't quite come through, and that's not a criticism. So who delivers the program? Both programs can be delivered by a qualified teacher, obviously. They can also be delivered by a volunteer Rotarian, a youth leader, somebody who's been involved in youth work, has the right sort of experience, somebody who's been involved in a training activity in the industrial world, for instance. How do those people get trained? Well, they get trained by members of our core team. The length of that training depends on their previous experience. If they're qualified teachers, we're certainly not going to tell them how to plan a lesson or whatever. So If they're a qualified teacher, then you're talking about a session that is probably no more than a couple of hours long. If they don't have a lot of teaching experience, then it's probably a long half-day session, but it's not hours and hours and hours. There is a cost to the program. The cost is £90 registration, and that's principally the registration fee for the institute, £90 per student. The students become student members of the institute at the point that they register, and that membership continues for 12 months and gives them all sorts of access to all sorts of materials that are on the institute's website, and you'll see more of those shortly on the video. Tutors become tutor members of the institute, which gives them access to the materials on the website as well. Sue and Mike have both mentioned assessment. Assessment is carried out again by people who have experience of the program. We have trained verifiers in the team who from time to time will sit at the back of the room when assessment's taking place to make sure that the assessment is consistent and that we're maintaining the integrity of the program. The assessment is about helping students to explain what they've been doing. It is not a process of catching people out. It is a positive process, and we always try and make it a positive experience for the students, giving them as much opportunity as possible to talk about what they've learned on the program and what they've done in delivering their project. Sue mentioned the question and answer session. That is only at level 2. There is no individual question and answer session in level 1. Level 1 is made up of the presentation on the project, 80% of the marks, and the workbook itself then counts as 20% of the marks. The workbooks that both Sue and Mike have mentioned, they are available to the Institute, again, to check that the Institute are happy that we are achieving the standard they expect, although they're returned to the students once the Institute have confirmed they're happy with the marks, because those workbooks are the students' own property, and they may want to use them to show to prospective employers, whatever, in the future. So the successful students receive a certificate from the Institute, whether it's a level 1 certificate, whether it's a level 2 certificate. Now, Mike talked about the students at level 1, and particularly those with special educational needs. The certificate that they get will probably be one of the first certificates that they get from an external body. In some cases, it may be the only certificate that they will get from an external body. And just think about that. That's Rotary that is creating that gain, that award for those students. These programs are, and I have yet to be corrected, the only programs running under RGB&I which are externally approved by a body such as the Institute of Leadership. So that's where we are. We have the paperwork, we have the syllabus, etc., etc. I don't need to go over those again. As a team, as very nice to Janine, for Janine to call us the Magic 3, we would love to make that the Magic 4, 5, 6, whatever. We need people to help us. We need people to help deliver. We need people to help with the assessment, and we need people to help with the organization and the administration of the programs. So if you're on the call and you think, well, I'm not sure I've got a program to run, but I'll fancy getting involved in this in another way, please let us know. And I think, Janine, that's enough from me. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tim. Before we open it up to questions from the floor, and please, you can put them in chat, but we will also give the opportunity for you to actually ask your questions directly. There is a video, as I say, that we've got from the Institute of Leadership. They are absolutely passionate about these programs. It really is in line with what they're trying to achieve as much as what we're trying to achieve, and the opportunities to give young people. So I'm now going to share my screen, and hopefully I've also remembered to press the sound button to watch the video. It's 6 minutes long. I could stop it halfway through, but if you could bear with us and just listen to the whole thing, I think there are some useful snippets all the way through.
Hello, I'm Jerome Goodluck from the Institute of Leadership. Very sorry that I can't be with you in person today, but I hope this recording is being recorded.
Right, we'll try that again, shall we?
Hello, I'm Jerome Goodluck from the Institute of Leadership. Very sorry that I can't be with you in person today, but I hope this recording is useful. I'm really happy to speak on behalf of the Institute and say how proud we are to work in partnership with Rotary, accrediting both of your excellent programs, Leadership and Management program and Communication and Teamwork. And you're the first across Rotary International to have your programs accredited by the Institute, which is a fantastic achievement. And your programs really embody our mission around inspiring great leadership everywhere. And it certainly supports our strategy for reaching out to younger people. Now let's go and have a look at the website. Here we are, leadership.global. And if I look under community, clients and organisations, there's your logo. You're in good company. And the Institute of Leadership is a registered charity. We're a professional body, and we've been around for more than 75 years, and we're a global membership community. We serve a community across 70 international countries, more than 50,000 members, which is brilliant. And scrolling down our homepage, there's the mission, inspiring great leadership. So really in tune with the great work that you do at Rotary there. And the way we do that is in a number of ways, including membership and program accreditation. And really pleased to confirm that your programs meet the rigour and quality requirements to gain approval and accreditation. Well done, you. Your programs are best in class and fully validated by the Institute. Be loud and proud. And those that undertake the programs, you would register them, and registering is really easy. And then they receive a welcome activation email, which enables them to activate their year's membership with the Institute, and membership gives you more. There's access to so much. For example, looking at these boxes here, great for career, personal development, with access to a whole wealth of resources, amazing resources. We'll have a look in a second. They're part of a global community, so can check out conversations across the community with other professionals. Really good for broadening the horizon. Members are kept up to date with weekly updates around what's trending, so it's good finger on the pulse stuff. And professional recognition comes live through badges and formal certification of achievement upon completing the program. So let's log in and have a look together. As mentioned, those registered get a welcome email, and that enables them to log into their dedicated member account area on the website. And there's access to so much here. I'll show you some of the key areas. So for example, there's a flagship e-learning platform called My Leadership, and My Leadership is built around a model that we have at the Institute called the Dimensions of Leadership. And in there are some great topics around some of the key areas of leadership and management. We call these components, and each one is a bite-sized e-learning module with a blend of content. You can go in, and also there's a quiz. And when you meet the standards, you get a digital badge, which is really, really neat. Also within your membership, there's a My Careers area. Let's have a look at My Careers. Now, My Careers is a brilliant resource for you. When you're on program, you heard me mention you're a student, so you get access to most of these tools. And then when you graduate from the program, it opens up all of the resources as shown on screen here. Now, there are some great tools. So for example, there's a CV 360. So it helps you create a CV. You can go in, and there's some really useful tools in there to help you, and also write a covering letter. And then you can use your CV in an interview simulator, and you can set level of difficulty and experience what it's like to have a real sort of work interview, which is really interesting. And there are some amazing micro skills in here as well, across business skills and IT skills, and it's just in time learning. There are thousands of resources in there. Go in, be curious, have a look. And if you're interested in working in specific areas one day, why not have a look at labour market information? You can check out salaries and trends within specific sectors, which is really interesting. Let's go back to the member area. So really highlighting you get access to so much. And when you graduate and become that full community member, you get access to free mentoring as well. Why not take advantage of that and get some free advice on specific areas from senior members within the Institute? So I'm just touching the surface. Hopefully that has whet your appetite. So as mentioned, that comes from your membership, and then there's the community grade you can see there, which you get once you complete the programme. And we got there by confirming that everything's accredited. We work in partnership with Rotary. Really excited to support you. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much. All the very best.
So a lot of resources available there through the Institute, and great recognition from them of the success of this programme. It's approved by them, and they very much want to help us with that success. You know, a year of membership of that Institute, providing access to all those resources, is a great additional benefit that we haven't really done anything about publicising as yet. So what I'd like to do now, please, is I'd like to open it up to questions. So we have got a couple in the box, but there's a couple of things I just want to pick up on first. So if I spotlight the magic 3, and I'll do that as we're going. Is this just for schools? So often within Rotary, we just talk young people equals schools. So who can tell me, is that just for schools, please?
I'll take that one if you like. No, the simple answer is no, it's not for schools. It is for young people aged 14 and above with no upper age, who can be in any young people's organisation. So schools, Interact, Rotaract, Police Cadets, Sea Cadets, Scouts. In fact, any type of youth organisation or grouping can take part.
Yeah, I just to add to that, Janine, I ran it 2 years ago now in a youth volunteer organisation. They were a group of youngsters who had volunteered in a charity, were going out to Kenya, and this was part of their team building and leadership training to go out on a project in Kenya. No school involvement. Excellent.
I also believe that it's in relation to RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Award. I think there's one of the RYLA groups that has been involved with this programme. Is that right?
It's happened in 1240, which effectively is Essex. Some Rotary districts run external RYLA programmes. Indeed, in 1090, my district, we have a very professional RYLA, which is outsourced to a one of these outward bound centres. Essex ran their own, and they looked at utilising the Developing Future Leaders programme as a way of getting young people effectively a qualification as part of leadership development. And so over time, effectively they focus now on developing future leaders. I mean, there are some people on from 1240 you might want to add comments to that. What we haven't said yet, and I'll just say it now, is that the level 2 equates broadly to a good GCSE. If anybody wonders what actually is a level 2, that's broadly where it sits.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Karen, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, just picking up a follow-on question from the chat. So Claudia has said, how can a student enroll in a programme if their school is not interested in offering it? So I guess they were talking one young person interested in it. How would you manage that?
Well, we need to have clearly a programme. A programme needs to have, I guess the minimum number of people is sufficient to make a project group. So whilst it doesn't have to be within a school, it would need to be a core of people who were going to come together and undertake the program, and we would need the right level of obviously delivery. So it's not out of the, obviously not out of the question. We've said it doesn't have to be within schools, but there's not open programs running that individual students can apply to.
Is it something following on from that perhaps an assistant governor area, you know, a group of clubs in a small area could actually reach out to their communities and offer it on a individual basis to sign up for, but there's a group being organised by a Rotary club or group of Rotary clubs?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. No, you know, there is no barrier. As long as we have a group of them, I'll say a minimum of 4, as long as we have a group of minimum of 4 who want to do the program, and we have somebody who can deliver it up and running.
Okay, thank you.
I was just going to say that the reason we insist on a minimum of 4 is we found from experience that is the sort of minimum number where you actually get a young person being given the opportunity to lead on something and to manage other people. If there's just 2 of you, you're just managing each other, and that it doesn't actually get you enough meat to talk about when you're being assessed. And that's when we found that the minimum optimal number is 4. And the ideal range is about 4 to 6 or 7 people. Gives you the best swing.
The other side of that is, if there are too many people in the group, they will not be taking individual responsibility for part of the project. The last thing we want at assessment is when we say to somebody, what did you do on this project? He says, I helped my mate, because that ain't going to do him any good either.
Okay, thank you. Karen, are there other questions in chat you'd like to put?
Thank you. Yes. So Jeanette has asked, what sort of projects? Have you got some examples?
Certainly there are projects I've been involved in. Sometimes the young people have chosen to work with senior citizens, have gone into there and run events and supported them. Other times have been done within school. I think one year somebody ran buy a rose for Valentine and we'll send it to your favorite teacher, or no, can't have been that. No, but you know, you can do that. Other times people have gone out and run events within schools. They have gone out and run events within communities. Some have done something on an educational theory. If there was like an environmental issue that their school was they were very strongly about, then they would set up a project to inform the rest of the school. So those are ones that have been in schools. Tim, you did one with a youth group, did you not?
Yeah, the youth group, the one I talked about going to Kenya, they decided they were going to organise a cake sale. We've had cake sales in schools, but this was a public cake sale in the market square of the local town on a Saturday morning. And they made the cakes. They organised who was making what cakes. They had to get approval to appear in the market square. They had to get a license for that. They had to make sure they'd got food handling, hygiene regulation certificates. They actually decided they would attract people to their stall by one of them busking all morning, which she did. So it's the organisation of the project. We're actually not terribly bothered. If they have an objective of raising £500 for the sake of argument, we're not terribly bothered whether they raise £100 or £1,000. We're bothered about the journey and the organisation and the skills they show. Quiz nights are very popular sometimes. Quiz nights at schools, quiz nights in care homes. Okay. Anything that requires them to put their mind into organisation, really.
Thank you. Sue?
Can I just mention, a group I had were all ready to do an event in a old people's home, and about 2 weeks beforehand, the whole thing was made impossible because the care home went into whatever is their last case of being unsatisfactory. So with 2 weeks before assessment, they suddenly had no project. But what they did do is they then went, spoke to other people, got the whole thing resorted, got links with other people, and carried on and did a very successful event. So what I'm trying to say is that even if there is a problem with the project, as long as they deal with that problem and are able to sort it out, then that is fine by us. It's not a case that unless it runs beautifully, it doesn't work. Mike.
I was just going to add to that, just something just to bear in mind is the project also needs to be timely. And by that, I mean, it needs to fit in with the guided learning. And I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, we were all involved with a group of students who started their journey in the spring term. And it was hoped that their learning journey would be over by the half term in that term, and completed, including the project, by Easter. Now that, to my mind, would work well in the sense that as the students reach a certain part in their learning of the theory, they then start to pick up their development of their own project, and the theory feeds directly into the project as they go, so that everything is fresh in their minds, so they can maximize their new knowledge in the project as it goes along. The worst thing you can possibly do is run the training up until Easter, say, and the students have decided on a project that doesn't take place until November. That is absolutely pointless, because they will have forgotten absolutely everything they've learned. The lead time is too long, and it achieves nothing. You have to have the two running in tandem towards the end of the guided learning, so that the enthusiasm is maintained, the knowledge is growing as their need for it is growing.
Okay.
But if you get stuck with an idea for a project, or you're not sure if the idea being presented to you as a tutor will work, we've probably got enough information now from the courses that we've seen to provide you with some insight as to whether the project idea is viable or not, and more importantly, if it does go ahead, what the pitfalls might be that you need to avoid.
Thank you very much. Certainly sounds to me as if with some of these projects, we need to perhaps offer a program for some of our Rotary clubs, do I dare say that? And perhaps increasing the flexibility to adapt as part of our action plan. Amal, you've been very patient. You've got your hand up.
Thank you, Janine. No, it's okay. I'm quite happily listening to the core team members. I've got a couple of questions, if I may indulge my greedy nature. The cost of administering each course, I can understand that can come from Rotary. What is the cost, the cost of actually becoming an institute member if the youth decides to? It starts from £100. Is there a junior cost version of that?
No. The straightforward answer, Amal, is no. The initial cost of being a member for 12 months is that £90.
Right.
And that we have all sorts of models as to how that's paid. We have it paid by Rotary clubs.
Mm-hmm.
We have it paid by Rotary clubs who stay very silent when we're talking to the schools,
mm-hmm.
and the schools pay. We have models where there's a mixture of the two. Right. And the third model is a model where the student or their parents pay a proportion as well, which is a way of, some schools, Rotary clubs feel, is a way of commitment. Frankly, as the people running the programs, we don't sort of care as long as the £90 is paid.
Sure.
The £100, having graduated, so to speak, through our program, their membership continues to the end of that 12-month period.
Yeah.
So if somebody signs up, if we start a program in September, those students are members of the institute until the following September. At the end of that period, they can elect to convert them or to take their membership forward and become ongoing members of the institute at £100 per year. I believe I'm right in saying, and I was talking to Janine about this afternoon, so I'm saying this slightly tongue-in-cheek. Sue and Mike might be able to nod. I believe that if they don't want to convert that to permanent membership immediately, it's something they can do at any point in the future.
Ah, okay.
Yes,
That's useful
that's
to know.
correct.
Yeah.
Which can
Thank
be
you for
very-
that. Oh,
very
sorry,
useful.
Sue, did you want to come in with the point on
I
that
was
particular-
just going to say that the Institute obviously provides courses from our level 1, level 2, right up to degree level.
Of
So it
course.
could be that if they've done a level 2, they might be going into an apprenticeship, in which case they might want to stay in with the Institute in order to get apprenticeship qualifications, degree qualifications, all that sort of thing. That's where the £100 comes in.
Okay, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you very much. And my second point was, it's actually a point, not a question. I consider the Rotary Learning Centre. It's been very useful to me to learn matters Rotary. I consider this as important. And as I also consider Rotary's youth services a jewel in Rotary's crown, I think this is a very important jewel. I think if this is treated rightly, this could project Rotary's partnership with schools and students very quickly and very highly commended.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Amal. And I hope it's not just about schools, it's about all
Yeah.
opportunities to engage with young people. And I couldn't agree with that more. But the Magic 3 need help. We need clubs and districts and clusters, do I dare say, really interested in this, but we need individuals in it. They don't have to be Rotarians. You know, this is a great way of reaching out to non-Rotarians. It's also a great way of reaching out, I think, to direct members. If you've got any direct members in your hub that are looking for things that they can get involved with, and certainly from an administration point of view, we really need some help on that as well. So thank you, Amal. Peter.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the Magic 3, as you refer to them. They're aware that I've been involved in 1240 with this program for many years, and I was the one that combined it with Ryla in the first place. But I am an assessor and a qualified verifier, and I just wondered at what stage I would be able to do that. So you keep coming up to our area. In fact, this year you've got to come for a weekend because we've got 55 entries. I would like to become a verifier assessor, so I can help you
out. As soon as possible, Peter.
Yeah, I mean,
the answer.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, would be very welcome to join us as part of the assessing team when we come up to 1240. And once you have sat with us and have been through the process, given your background as well, I'm sure we can sign you off as an assessor almost directly.
Okay, thank you. I'll be there.
And that would be really useful going forward, to be honest, because 1240 is self-sufficient in almost every other aspect of running this.
Yeah. Peter, the other thing to say is that Jed and Linda are helping us. Sorry, this is 1240 speak for half a moment. They are helping us this year with the question and answer session. And Sue is going to do a session with them to just make them comfortable with the Q's and A's at some point before April. So I'm sure, Sue, you could include Peter in that session if that's helpful to you, Peter.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to do so. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. A willing volunteer, and I hope.
Well, welcome aboard.
There's another willing volunteer. Message me in chat. Mukunda would like to get involved, wants to understand a bit more. So, got a couple of people already. But don't forget, there's also people here that are interested in it from a how they're going to do it in their clubs, in their communities, in their local contacts as well. Karen, over to you.
Thank you. Just picking up on some of the questions in chat. So Jeff Triggs, you might want to raise your question. You might want to unmute yourself. And then we've got Mukunda, who is asking about how we promote the program in the local community. So Jeff is specifically asking about is it possible to access a tutor book, sample learning plan, etc. And then later on, we have one person interested. Yes, Marianne, as a direct member, has said she's keen in finding out more, so we can follow up with you afterwards. But Jeff, maybe you want to raise your question.
Yeah, it's really just to get a better handle on what is required. If we are looking to involve people and perhaps non-Rotarians in running these programs, say, I'm thinking partly of special needs schools, for example, what's involved. Teachers are very busy, and I think it would be good to have a concise view of what is required. And also from a Rotary point of view, we have a youth day on Saturday. I've already invited to have a meeting with 2 of the people on this call on Saturday if they are at Tavistock. I think we just need to make this more, our district more aware of all these programs, but that obviously we can't rely upon Tim, Sue and Mike to come all this way down to actually deal with them, and therefore we need to, like 1240, we need to go from a start to get them going. With my other hat on, I'm on a youth network, and I feel that with some of the schools in our area, this sounds like an ideal program, but at the moment I don't have a clear handle on the amount of paperwork involved for the teachers, and also those.
Jeff, can I just come in there and say to you that there's a lot of questions there that I'm not sure we can answer tonight. Yes. But what I would say is, and we have done this on a number of occasions, is where we've got a group of Rotarians, Rotary clubs, or a district team, whatever, who are interested in exploring this in more detail, we are more than happy to run a Zoom specific to your area, where we talk about issues and concerns and questions that people in your neck of the woods would have, where we'll help you bottom this out.
Right.
We've had quite a bit of experience across the team in making contact with schools and other organisations, etc., etc. All of us have got a story to tell, and I think having a Zoom meeting of some sort would enable us to draw all that together and make it very specific to you and your needs in your part of the world. And we'd be very happy to do that.
Can I just say, I think that is, she's come on. I was going to make her sing for a supper in a moment, and I've just seen her on the chat line. Mike's absolutely right, Jeff. And if you need to do that quickly, like this week, because of things that are coming up, then drop one of us a line, and we'll fix it.
That's very kind of you.
But in answer to your first point, and she's put her hand up, so she's not getting away without speaking now. On the line, we have Judy Strain. Judy is not a Rotarian, to answer one point. Judy is the person who wrote the Level 1 programme and enabled us to get it approved. And Judy is closely involved with the special needs school in Redditch. So she can give you, I think, a little bit more about one of your first questions, Jeff.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, Jeff,
thank you.
Jeff, you were asking about the time that's involved and how busy the teachers are. A couple of weeks back, the special school that I'm involved with actually came along to the Rotary meeting, of which I'm not a member. I'm a hanger-on. But a couple of the youngsters actually came and they spoke, and they've only just started the programme. So they are 16 going 17 years old. They had gained the confidence to come into a room full of people, and I think there were probably about 24 to 28 people there. They spoke very fluently about what they were doing. They answered questions that were thrown at them that they had no idea about what was coming. They came with their teacher and with the teaching assistant. Now, the teacher was asked this very question about you know, how much time it took up. I think it was asked sort of after the meeting, because she was talking to other people who are interested in joining the programme. And she said, well, it's how you map it in. She said, we also do Duke of Edinburgh, but this is the whole of the community service for that. She said, we do communication skills, and this is fantastic practice for communication skills. So she's looked at the programme, and she's looked at how it can enable the young people to achieve so many other things. So I think it's probably about the teachers themselves being creative with it,
Yeah.
and wishing to be on board. They do put people through the level 2 programme and have done very successfully. But they've also done quite well with the level 1. I think Mike and Tim have been there on the days, and Linda as well, who assesses as well. And I think they've done quite well, really, with what they've achieved, haven't they, the youngsters there?
You can't keep us away from those assessment days.
No, I would say
Okay.
they all do exceptionally well. And it is an absolute joy to see some of these people who have their own personal difficulties still shine through and demonstrate so clearly what they have learned and got out of the programme.
They did actually shock the Rotary meeting when they were talking about, they said, we did something as a little practice. We did a Macmillan coffee morning, just for a morning to practice our skills. And then they let it slip that they made over £400 in a morning. And there was a bit of a sort of around the room. It takes quite some raising, £400, but they're actually very good at it. And so I think once the youngsters are on board, it enables the teacher then to move forward with it as well. And they are very keen.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
Okay, I'm mindful of time. Judy, is there anything else that you wanted to say? Because you had your hand up and you've obviously helped with the answer for.
Well, it was purely to answer Jeff, really.
Okay.
About how it's been mapped into the programme within the school, and yes, it's been very successful, and they've added a lot to the greater community as well.
Thank you, and thank you, Judy, for everything that you do for the programme. You know, the Magic 3 couldn't have done it without your help and support.
They would eventually.
Sue?
Just one thing for the people that are delivering level 2, as I said, there is a program that runs alongside the resources of 14 sessions, which matches the 14 guided learning hours and shows how the tutor's resources link to the student resources and suggests how the session can be done. So it's something that I would say teachers certainly are well used to having to do. But I think it's also quite logical for a non-teacher to be able to follow.
Thanks very much. Karen, I'll come to you in a moment. There's a couple of things I want to say. I'm mindful that we're heading towards 7:30 when we're going to finish. A couple of things I just want to highlight. There are several DGs in the room this evening. You have cohorts, you have successors as part of your continuity. If we're going to make this a success, we really do need, and I need to rephrase that because it's a huge success at the moment, but it's at this time of year in particular, it's at a point where these Magic 3 are drowning, and we really do need to give them a life jacket and actually to have lots of other people jump in the pool with them. But we need youth leads, we need clubs, we need individuals, we need non-Rotarians, we need DG cohorts to, if you think that this is a good idea and we could and should be spreading it across GB&I think I'm a bit biased here. We should be spreading it across GB&I. We need people to help us to make that happen. And we need input on the best ways of doing that as well. So all of you can give ideas. And Karen has put her email address in the chat. That's karen.eveley, EVELEIGH @yahoo.com. Anybody that wants to volunteer in any way, shape or form, just drop her an email and say that what you're particularly interested in, or you just want to know more, and she'll put you in touch with others in the team. Gavin is another member of the humanitarian service team. Gavin's here with us this evening. Gavin is actually in Ireland, and he's asking about whether this programme can be run in Republic of Ireland. But actually, Great Britain and Ireland covers multiple jurisdictions. So where can it be run, please?
Mike
can be run anywhere.
Mike has just been appointed as our Director of International Programs, so he should answer this.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll give you an example of where it can be run. We've run it in Zambia. We're having conversations about possibility of looking at something in Luxembourg. And I spent a good while this morning, or lunchtime, I should say, talking to a very interesting Rotarian in Sri Lanka who wants to run it. They have in their education system out there O-levels and A-levels. So we understood immediately where that level 2 program would fit and saw a need. So there is absolutely no problem with running it in Ireland. Obviously, the institute itself is in 77 different countries. So it sees itself as a worldwide organisation, and in fact is very, very keen to see programs like this for young people developed on a global basis. Quite how the three of us are going to do that, I don't know, but they absolutely support that expansion outside of the UK without any hesitation.
Thank you. Mukunda. You're muted, Mukunda.
Janine, I'm all excited. This is an excellent program. I would like to run it in District 1210. Would you be happy to have a Zoom meeting, which I can organize for the entire district, with all the team members and clubs getting involved? And could you give us a sort of a basic thing about what this program is about? Why should the clubs get involved? How they can get involved? I'm really very, very for it. So just help me out.
We would love to do that, Mukunda. If you can, because we haven't got email addresses. I don't know whether we've got, have we got access to email addresses, Karen? Yeah.
Yes,
we have.
We will are you happy for us to pass on your email address to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I need to do it sooner rather than later, because, you know, I'm doing so many activities and so many educational activities for my members that I'm really falling short of my year. And I would like to get this done sooner rather than later.
I know the feeling. I've been there, Mukunda. We will send you an email in the next few days and try and get a date. Well, not try and get a date sorted out with you again in the next few weeks, 2-3 weeks, if we can, and get you. And what we'll do is some sort of presentation that takes you through the program, how it's structured, and this is available to anybody on the call. Take you through the program, how it's structured, and discuss all the aspects with you and your team. Love to do that.
In the first email, I would like a little bit of a summary of what this program is about, so that I can put it to all the members or the district team, because then that would attract them to join this meeting. So
I encourage you to look at the rotarygbi.org website. Under the youth opportunities, there is a section for Rotary Developing Future Leaders, and there's a lot of information there, including a PDF to the little brochure that Tim is holding up in front of his screen right now. We are at 1929. I do want to just launch one more very short poll, and to thank you all for being with us this evening. If you could take the time to answer, do you believe these programs should continue? Now, obviously, what's in progress isn't going to stop, it's going to continue. But for that longevity, that sustainability, do you believe that this program should continue? And again, if you're interested in anything to help in any way, shape or form, or finding out how you can launch it in your clubs, in your assistant governor groups, in your district, in your cluster, I think this would be absolutely terrific to do these sorts of presentations. And I think potentially from what we've heard tonight, I think it would be useful to do a further Zoom meeting around the detail of how do I do it in my club, so that you can have that first session that is open to any club. Would that be a helpful thing for anybody? So
Yes.
19 out of 19 are saying we absolutely do continue. So Magic 3, thank you very, very much for everything that you have done. Promise you're going to get some help. Tim, you're itching to say something before I press the button. We're now a minute late.
Only to say to Karen, if there are unanswered questions in the chat box that we haven't tackled because we've been talking too much as always, just send them through to the three of us, please, and we will come back to the questioner directly.
Thanks very much, Tim. I think between Karen and I think we've made sure that pretty much everything is covered, but we will be following up to make sure. So thank you to everybody for giving up their time this evening. Thank you for what you're going to be doing going forward. Thanks to the Magic 3. Thanks to Karen for everything that you're doing, and looking forward to me seeing this grow and be a real flagship for what Rotary can deliver in our communities. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.